Hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to a brand new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I am your host, Lance Brock, and on this episode, I'm a little later doing this episode than I wanted to, so I'm going to squeeze a lot of pro wrestling talk in a little bit of time. Or at least try to anyway, and got a lot of wrestling to talk about. Got two big AEW shows, Dynamite and Rampage, both of them Grand Slam episodes, by the way, live from New York, Arthur Ashe Stadium, Wednesday and this past Friday night. Also, gonna talk about Friday night Smackdown and Impact Wrestling's Victory Road Impact Plus special. So let's not waste too much more time and let's just get into it already. And I'm just gonna talk about both AEW shows together back to back. And let's start off from this past Wednesday night. Live from Queens, New York, at Arthur Ashe Stadium. It is AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. The commentators for this one, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Taz also on commentary later on. And we start things off big with a Ring of Honor World Championship match, and Ian Riccaboni also joins the commentary team for this one. Chris Jericho taking on Claudio Castagnoli, and Jericho shakes Claudio's hand to do the Code of Honor, and then he slaps him. And these two have a very good opening match in this one. That Claudio, hits the swing, but this time it wasn't on top of a cage, just like Blood and Guts here in Detroit back in June. But this one was still pretty impressive though. He had it going for quite a while. But the finish sees Jericho get Aubrey Edwards in front of him, hits a low blow on Claudio, then the Judas effect, and is able to get the win, and for the first time in his career, become the Ring of Honor World Champion, and win his 8th, or ocho, as he said, World Championship in his career. And it'll be interesting to see as this new version of Ring of Honor under the ownership of Tony Khan continues, if it continues, or if it gets a TV deal, I should say. And if they do, and the TV show starts with Chris Jericho as the Ring of Honor World Champion. But I think it could work out pretty good with Jericho as the top heel on the show. And let's move on with the AEW World Tag Team Championship match, a rematch from All Out. Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland taking on the Acclaimed, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. If you remember from All Out, these two teams had a great match that was talked about, and I even picked it as definitely one of my matches of the night. And it was kind of a surprise how over the Acclaimed were in Chicago that night. Swerve and Our Glory retained. And after the night, though, a lot of people were saying that Tony Khan maybe should have got on a headset and called an audible during the match and said, hey, they're so over the Acclaimed, let's switch it up, have them win the titles tonight. But that did not happen, so we had the rematch here at Arthur Ashe Stadium. And this time, though, it is the Acclaimed picking up the win and becoming the brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions for the first time in their AEW career. And this one, maybe the match was not quite as good as the first match that they had at All Out, but there was a huge pop when they won the titles. And now Tony Schiavone is there to interview Wheeler Yuta, but he is interrupted by MJF, who cuts a great heel promo as always. Then MJF attacks Yuta and then pushes Tony Schiavone down, putting his hands on him. And I've said it before many times, and I'll say it again many times, I'm sure. One of, if not the best heel in all of wrestling right now, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And I would say it's not a question if he's going to be the world champion one day. It's just, when are they going to put the world title on him? Because they've got to. He is doing such a great job right now. They got to put the world title on him eventually. Speaking of titles, we have a title match coming up next for the AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Pac taking on Orange Cassidy. This one's very good. We have Orange Cassidy doing his usual stuff to upset Pac, and then Pac goes outside the ring, grabs the ring bell hammer, covers up a little bit, hits Orange Cassidy right in the face with it, then throws him back in the ring, gets the pin to retain the title. Pretty good match here, I thought. Big fan of both guys. And the AEW Interim Women's Championship is up next. In a 4-way match, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Serena Deeb, Athena, and Toni Storm. We see Storm pin Britt Baker to retain the championship, which I thought was a pretty good match here. And then after the match, we see Jamie Hayter make her way to the ring. Not lately, she's been having a little bit of differences with Dr. Britt Baker, and she makes her way to the ring. Acts like maybe she's going to get into it with Dr. Britt Baker this time, but instead she goes after Toni Storm. And then we see the AEW debut of the former Paige, now known as Saraya in All Elite Wrestling. She makes her way to the ring, clears the heels out, and then celebrates with the baby faces in the ring. It will definitely be interesting to see if she does wrestle in AEW now. Honestly, not quite sure of that just yet, because today, actually, I listened to Sunday night's main event. Dave Meltzer said, not quite sure just yet if she has been cleared from the injury back in 2017, why she was out of the ring for so long. But Meltzer says if Dr. Sampson clears her, then she will definitely be able to wrestle in AEW. So we'll have to stay tuned and see what happens there. I have to admit, I would like to see Paige back in a wrestling ring once again. And now let's go on to Rampage Grand Slam. Once again from Arthur Ashe Stadium, Queens, New York. On the same night, actually, just taped after Dynamite went off the air. And we start off with a street fight tag team match. Sting and Darby Allin taking on the House of Black. Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, with Julia Hart in their corner. And there were a lot of dangerous spots, I have to admit, in this one. A lot of crazy bumps, crazy moves, crazy dives in this one. And Sting going through the tables off the stage. And the finish in this one, huge surprise here. The legendary Great Muta showing up, who will have his final match in January. And he comes to the ring, sprays. But first, let me back up a little bit. I left out a couple important things. Sting, Darby Allin out of the ring, taken out. Sting handcuffed in the ring in a chair. Looks like Buddy Matthews is gonna finish the match, take Sting out, get the win for his team. But then we see the appearance of the Japanese legend, the Great Muta, and he makes his way to the ring, sprays the mist in the face of Buddy Matthews, and he backs up and bumps into Julia Hart, who, there was a table there at ringside who was supposed to go through it, but she kinda, not quite, but kinda overlapped and didn't land on it quite right. You can see the middle, in the middle of it, part of the table actually break, but it was still standing, and then she went right to the floor. You can see she hit her head on the guardrail as well. Very scary bump here, but luckily, the next day on Twitter, she did tweet, luckily, that she is fine after that. So, it is good to see that she was not seriously injured after that table spot. But back in the ring, the Great Muta sprays Buddy Murphy. Sting gets the win for his team. And then we see Sting and Muta shake hands and hug after the match. And then some news the day after that broke. It's already been announced before that. In January, the Great Muta will be wrestling his final match for Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. And now we know that Sting will be a part of that match, teaming with the Great Muta. I remember when I was a kid back, WCW, Sting, the great matches he had with Great Muta, and Muta not only matches with Sting, but also Lex Luger, Ric Flair. That's going to definitely be a good match to watch. And also, let's continue with Rampage now. Hook and Action Bronson, a rapper, I guess. Definitely not a big rap fan. And the first I've heard of him, I have to admit, is when, a little while back, when Hook debuted his new theme music. I remember them hearing hearing them say that it was Action Bronson. I never heard of him then, and then obviously this match now. But they team up and they defeat the Jericho Appreciation Society team of Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker, which was an okay match. Definitely not bad at all. I think that Action Bronson did work a pretty good match here, or at least in my opinion anyway. So that definitely wasn't bad. And we have more tag team action up next. Samoa Joe and Wardlow, the team known as Warjo, taking on Tony Nese and Josh Woods with Smart Mark Sterling in their corner. Not a bad match. Samoa Joe and Wardlow get the win. And next up we have Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix. Very good match here. I thought both of these guys looked great. Jungle Boy gets the win. And both of these guys definitely have a bright future in front of them. Especially Jungle Boy. Definitely see big things for him in the future. Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara up next with Ty Mello in Guevara's corner. Good match here. Kingston actually picks up the win with a submission, but however, he refuses to release the hold, so the decision gets reversed, and Guevara is declared the winner. And then Kingston destroys the security. And next up, the AEW TBS Championship is on the line. Jade Cargill taking on Diamante with another rapper, Trina, in her corner. And Jade gets the win to retain the title and to extend her winning streak to 38-0. Not a bad match. I wouldn't say it was really anything spectacular or that special, but still pretty good. And now it is time for the Golden Ticket Battle Royal. And definitely not a bad match at all, though. The Final Four: Hangman Adam Page, Jay Lethal, Roosh, and Penta El Zero Nero. And the victor in this Golden Ticket Battle Royal, Hangman Adam Page. Now time for the main event of Rampage Grand Slam. It is the Lights Out match. Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Ricky Starks. This feud has been good. The build-up, former Team Taz teammates, now enemies, going at it. Very good here. These two definitely gave their best effort in this main event. Absolute Ricky Starks wins this match. Definitely enjoyed it. Usually when AEW has one of the Lights Outs match, and very good, because like I said, it's usually for two guys who have been feuding for quite a while and need to settle a score, so they have this unsanctioned match where they can just have a no-holds-barred brawl, and this one was no different. And now, let's go back in time a couple hours on Friday night to WWE Friday Night Smackdown, and we start off. I have to admit, this could be, I know a lot of people have already said this, I've heard on Post Wrestling on Rewind to Smackdown, them John Pollock and Wai Ting say it, and I've heard other people say this as well. Possibly the segment of the year with the Bloodline, and then Roman Reigns questioning why Sami Zayn was there and telling him to take their shirt off. And this really looked like they were rushing the turn, that it kind of looked like the Bloodline was going to turn on Sami Zayn right here on SmackDown. But the reason Roman had him take the shirt off, because he got him a brand new shirt that says the Honorary Uce. And both of them, everybody really, especially while this was going on, Jey Uso, who in the Bloodline is the one guy that really doesn't want Sami Zayn there. I mean, Jey Uso is cool with him, Solo is cool with him, Paul Heyman is okay with him, I guess, but Jey Uso definitely doesn't want him there. And while Roman is cutting that promo on him, like he's gonna kick him out of the Bloodline, he's happy. And then when Roman tells him he got him that Honorary Uce shirt, you could see the disappointment in his face. And great segment from the Bloodline here. All of them just did a fantastic job. And next up we have our first match of the evening. We have women's action. The SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan taking on Lacey Evans, who's back and for some reason has some camouflage face paint on her forehead. Really not sure what they're doing with her character now. A while ago, they were showing those videos, make her seem like an American hero, and then when they brought her on TV, she was a heel, and then she disappeared, and now she's back. But this match was more so just to have Liv Morgan show that she can compete and hang in an Extreme Rules match when she takes on Ronda Rousey at Extreme Rules. And Liv Morgan, of course, victorious in this one. And then after the match, she uses a kendo stick on Lacey Evans. Tag team action. Or not tag team action, I should say. But we see, because it's not a match, but we see backstage Ricochet and Mac Moss kind of teasing Sami Zayn, and then Solo comes up and attacks both of them, and Sami gives a good line here. He says he was about to do that. And Braun Strowman in action, taking on Otis, defeats Otis here in this one. Not a bad match, but definitely not bad for a TV match anyway. And then our main event of the evening for the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships, we have the Usos taking on the Brawling Brutes. And good match here, but is the Usos retaining due to some interference from Imperium, and the Usos retain, and they're really setting up for them to break the record, because they're they discussed in a video package that there's only 2 teams ahead of them now, Demolition and the New Day, and I definitely would not be surprised at all if the Usos end up passing both of them, becoming the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions. So, pretty good Smackdown. And I thought, but one of the most newsworthy things that came from Smackdown wasn't even shown on TV. On Monday night, the QR code thing with the White Rabbit showed 9:23 on 9:23. And what happened was actually during one of the breaks, like they've been doing, was the song by Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit, that played, of course, videos of this, people with their phones, got online, of course, and then I hear they have a shirt or something that came out, and something about the arena where Raw will be this Monday night from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I don't think this is going to be the reveal, but just another tease to whatever this White Rabbit thing is. The rumor, well, what everybody online thinks anyway, is it's going to be the return of Bray Wyatt, which it could be. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if it is, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but what I was thinking was, I don't know if Bray Wyatt, if he does come back, if he's going to return as the Fiend or the Firefly Funhouse Bray, but of course Rambling Rabbit was a part of the Firefly Funhouse, but who knows, because I think if he does come back, that this is going to be a completely new character for Bray Wyatt that we have not seen yet in WWE. Who knows, he could come back as the Fiend, but I think it's going to be a different character. And that was Smackdown for Friday night. Now let's go on to Saturday night, Impact Wrestling Victory Road, which was live on Impact Plus and YouTube for the Ultimate Insiders, also Fight TV as well. And live from Nashville, Tennessee at Skyway Studios, the commentators, Tom Hannafin and Matt Raywall. We start things off with an exciting X Division match. Speedball Mike Bailey defending the Impact X Division Championship against Delirious. Standout, I'm sure everybody remembers from Ring of Honor, Chikara, other indies. Very good match here. Bailey retains. Next up, we have tag team action taking between Honor No More and the Motor City Machine Guns. And the Guns are victorious. Alex Shelley getting the pin over Vincent. Next up is the triple threat revolver for the number 1 contendership for the X Division title. And this is only the second triple threat revolver in Impact history. And we start off, in case you haven't seen the first one, the rules are we start off with 3, and then once one is pinned, they are eliminated from the match, and then another wrestler enters, and then keeps going until everyone has been in the match, and then when it's down to the final 3, pinfall, submission, this is the winner. And we start off with Mia Yim, Laredo Kid, and Trey Miguel. Mia Yim pins Laredo Kid to eliminate him from the match, and we have Alex Zane out next. And Mia Yim actually pins him too, looking very impressive. So Zane is eliminated, and then representing Honor No More, it is Kenny King. He pins Mia Yim. And next up, Uemura is up next. And Trey Miguel pins Mira. Frankie Kazarian, representing AEW here at Victory Road, is out next. He submits Trey Miguel. He's eliminated. And next up from Decay, the final wrestler out, Black Taurus. And Kazarian pins Kenny King to win the Triple Threat Revolver. So at Bound for Glory on October 7th, we will see for the X Division Championship, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Frankie Kazarian, which I'm sure is going to be a very good match. And that's one you don't want to miss, I'm sure. And next up, we see the surprise appearance from Bobby Fish, who is now a free agent. And he cuts a promo, and he's interrupted by Raj Singh and Shira. And he clears the ring. And definitely interesting to see Bobby Fish in Impact Wrestling now. What he's going to do at Bound for Glory. I'm sure he's going to be involved somehow. And next up, 6-man tag team action. Honor No More, Eddie Edwards, and the OG Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, taking on Rich Swann, Heath, and the Impact Wrestling World Champion, Josh Alexander. And Heath is out brawling with Bennett and Taven. Swann is on the top rope. But instead of going in the ring to help Alexander out, he dives onto Bennett and Taven, helping Heath. And then in the ring, Edwards is able to get the pin on Alexander, pinning the Impact World Champion, getting the win for Honor No More in this one. That will definitely be another good match at Bound for Glory for the Impact World title. The main event, Eddie Edwards versus Josh Alexander. Pick Your Poison is up next. Masha Slamovich was able to pick Jordan Grace's opponent for Victory Road, and she picked Max the Impaler, who has been very impressive in NWA. If you haven't seen her yet, you should definitely check her out. This match is definitely hard-hitting. These two women definitely put on a good one, I thought. Jordan Grace gets the win, though. And the current Knockouts champion says that Pick Your Poison works both ways, and she gets to pick Slamovich's opponent for Impact Wrestling this Thursday. And Slamovich will be facing Alley Catch, and it will be a Monsters Ball match this Thursday at Impact Wrestling on Access TV. And now, time for the main event of the evening. Barbed Wire Massacre, Sami Callihan, Moose, and Steve Macklin. And this one was a little different than the other Barbed Wire Massacres that have taken place in Impact /TNA. in the past. Not necessarily a bad thing, but they had the ropes up in this one and just had the barbed wire wrapped around it, and they had a couple of barbed wire boards, barbed wire video game controller, a barbed wire rolling pin, and like what I was gonna say though, in the other ones in Impact history, they have been where they've taken down the ropes and just had the barbed wire itself up instead of the ropes. But like I said, the couple barbed wire matches that AEW has done have been like that, which necessarily isn't is a bad thing, but these three definitely put on a good match, and of course it was bloody, barbed wire massacre, what you would expect, and definitely nothing against Steve Maclin at all in this match. It was a great effort from all three men, but Steve Maclin pins Sami Callihan in this one to get the win. Kind of surprising, to be honest. And he is victorious in his first barbed wire massacre match. So overall, victory road. And like I always say, for these Impact Plus specials, so far since Impact has been doing them, to be honest, I haven't really seen a bad show. And all of them have been very good, actually. You can check them out on Impact Plus. It is a very good value, in my opinion. And YouTube, you can sign up to be an Ultimate Insider. And you can order the show separate on Fight TV. And only $9.99. In case you can order the replay, of course. On any of those options, I definitely recommend, if you did not see the show, definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it yet. Very good. Not really a bad match on the show at all. And that's it for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you for listening right here on Spreaker or anywhere else where you can listen to podcasts. And wanted to talk about those shows. And in about a little less than 2 weeks now, we have another big wrestling weekend coming up. Friday night, not only Friday, October 7th, I should say. Not only, of course, we got Smackdown, Rampage, and also Impact Bound for Glory that night. I was thinking that I was gonna watch Bound for Glory live and then watch Smackdown and Rampage. I haven't decided for the podcast yet what I'm gonna do, because I definitely want to recap Bound for Glory and Smackdown and Rampage. I don't know if I'm gonna watch Bound for Glory and then do a podcast about the pay-per-view and then do a separate one with Smackdown and Rampage, or watch all three and then do one podcast recapping all three of them. I haven't decided just yet. And then also the day after, that Saturday, is Extreme Rules and AEW Battle of the Belts, which will be taped the night before. And also live Rampage that Friday night. And I'm not sure if usually the Battle of the Belts air at 8 p.m. on TNT, but I don't know if they're gonna go head to head with Extreme Rules, or if maybe for this one time they'll air the Battle of the Belts at a different time. but we'll have to wait and see when that will air. Big wrestling weekend coming up, the weekend of October 7th. And thank you for listening to 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Remember, right here on Spreaker is the main one to listen to on anywhere you can listen to podcasts, though. Also on the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or whatever you want to say, the email is 360wrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Also, you can support 360 Wrestling Podcast, make the podcast bigger and better, help support, and like they say, help me keep the lights on. And you don't have to, though, but if you have a little extra, you want to help, you can anchor.fm/360-wrestling-podcast 360. I'll put in the description. Also, streamlabs.com/360 Wrestling Podcast. And I had some computer issues the other day. Wasn't able to stream. Was going to stream the unboxing that I did for the September Pro Wrestling Crate, but I had some trouble, so I just ended up having to record a video that is on the YouTube channel you can watch right now. And that's it for this episode. Hope to be back soon with another one. Until then, though, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.